Cool.
You
Hi guys.
guys are so stiff. I was like, I'm trying not to like bring too much energy right now, but I was like, guys, we gotta pick this up.
Well, thanks for bearing with me, everyone. So this is my first attempt at a webinar, and I know it's going to be awesome because I brought together an incredible group of realtors from across the country to share with all of us. Everyone we're talking with today are past recipients of Realtor Magazine's 30 Under 30 Award. I think most of us have now aged out of that category, unfortunately. Not all of us, right, Jennica? Exactly. So, today is going to be an opportunity to share, how you've been adapting your business to what's going on right now. And so a few housekeeping things just to give everybody the rundown. We are live here on Zoom, obviously. Plan to go about an hour for everyone to keep it sort of short. I'm also streaming live on Facebook. Feel free to check that out. And then there are different views. So if you're in Zoom, if you're not familiar with it, I think on the top right of your screen, you can toggle between gallery view or speaker view, depending if you want to see all of us at once or not. So there's different ways that you can view it. Also, there is going to be time for Q&A. So I see some people already popping up. So hey, everyone, good to see you. Feel free to start throwing in questions as we get going. And then hopefully at the end of the session here, we'll have time for a good Q&A so that we can get your questions answered. And then, once this is all complete, I'm going to upload the recording to my YouTube channel. So feel free to check it out there. So with that, let's get started. I want to give you guys all an opportunity to introduce yourselves. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to give everyone, who you are and the markets that you serve, Kristee, if you want to kick us off.
Sure. I'm Kristee Leonard with the Leaders Realty in Austin, Texas, and I serve Austin and surrounding areas. And my Instagram is at Kristee Leonard, and my website is www.theleadersrealty.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristee, for being here. Scott, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. So I am Scott Steadman with Windermere Real Estate, and I service Salt Lake City and some surrounding areas, Salt Lake and Utah County.
Awesome. And how can people connect with you?
Facebook and Instagram are great. Just J. Scott Steadman, the letter J, and then just my name here, which hopefully people are seeing. J. Scott Steadman is great. Or, cyber stalk me. Us realtors are not hard to reach.
Absolutely. Ivan, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I'm Ivan Estrada. I'm with Douglas Elliman here in Beverly Hills. The area that we service is the greater Los Angeles area. And the best way to connect with me is through Instagram, Ivan Estrada Properties, or also I'm heavy on YouTube. So Ivan Estrada Properties on YouTube. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Shyla, good to see you.
Hi, Brett. My name is Shyla Magee. I serve the Las Vegas Valley area, so Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas. I'm with Windermere Real Estate also, and you can connect with me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. All of it is at Shyla Magee. And then my business Facebook page is Shyla Magee Realtor.
Awesome. And last but certainly not least, the Mr. James Nellis. How are you doing?
I think we have two more. So we're gonna
Don't worry.
No, I'll be back.
I can't tell, Jennica, if I'm beauty or age. I'm going to say we're not going to answer that question. And so this is James Nellis out of Washington, D.C., the general metro area. Awesome. And you can reach us at nellisgroup.com, and all of our social medias follow along with that.
Sorry, everyone. I did save the best for last. Jennica, how are you?
Well, what a save. What a save. This is going to work out great. I am Jennica. I am in the Seattle Tacoma market. I'm with Compass, and I was class of 2018 for the 30 Under 30. My favorite go-to is definitely Instagram, and my handle is Jennica Realtor.
Awesome. Thank you guys all so much again for being here. All-star group for sure. And I'm Brett Caviness. I'm with Compass. I serve Silicon Valley, California, so the Bay Area. My office is in Menlo Park, right at the home of Facebook. So again, super excited to have this amazing group with us. So I have been cyber stalking everyone kind of in advance of our session today. And what I've realized and of course known is that you guys are all doing such amazing things right now to stay connected with your community. And I know you're all being super active still in terms of business. So what I wanted to do was just touch on, what each of you have been doing, because I think you all have been doing something a little bit different and kind of unique. And I think it gives all of us an idea on how we could use that to apply, for our own business. So Kristee, I'd love to start with you. I know you've been super active, on social media in terms of, continuing to help your buyers and sellers, doing a lot in terms of market activity updates. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, and most of y'all probably feel this way, that you were already poised for this as far as being using virtual means. I would say really I was already doing like Matterport tours, iGuide tours, video. What I am doing is now offering Matterport for everyone that wants it and wants someone in their home. Whereas before I was just doing that more as like a luxury listing. I would have, certain price point would be professional photos and a certain price point would be video Matterport. Now I'm just really integrating it into all of my listings. I really am holding my marketing accountable though. I'll spend more for nice photos because I do think there's a variation. But one thing I did in this market is rather than just going to my go-to and spending a lot of money on a Matterport tour, I researched who was the cheapest. I felt like they looked the same across the board. So I really went in and just kind of held my marketing dollars a little bit more accountable there. I already was heavily marketing on social media. Now I'm just marketing, I'm turning the Matterport tour into a video and marketing that on social media. So just trying to make it, because I felt like a lot of people weren't clicking through. They weren't going to the property website, then clicking on the link for the Matterport tour. So I wanted to make sure to make that as easily accessible to the public as possible. But I feel like I was already doing a lot of virtual means.
Yeah, that's great. And have you had any sellers ask you at this point, how are you going to continue selling our house? What are you doing? And how are you calming those fears?
Yeah, so I mean, I saw one of your questions about marketing. I'm definitely not taking away marketing. I would say what I'm doing is holding my marketing dollars more accountable and just trying to really budget a little bit more in the sense of if it's not working, take it off. And if it is, holding things more accountable. But I'm actually amping up the marketing. So it's like, spending more on Facebook ads, spending more on Instagram ads, spending more on Google ads, really trying, if people are home right now, they're on, they don't have, while they are working and are dealing with their kids, they're spending more time in front of the computer, on their phone, etc. And so I really want my listings to be available that way. So I'm actually putting more money and focus into the marketing right now.
That's awesome. So you're not slowing down, you're actually ramping up right now.
I'm ramping up in the sense of marketing is concerned, but I'm also, I feel like holding things more accountable. When sales were hot and, they still are, but I don't really know how the future is going to hold in the sense that I already had so much in the pipeline that I was just working the pipeline and still feeling busy. So I don't know what 3 months from now will be. I don't think anybody really knows, but I'm still trying to keep everything really active. But like at the same time, I said, hold things a little bit more accountable, because before I think that money was it was just, the closings were coming in. So I want to try this, I want to try that. And I wasn't really holding it as accountable. As now I feel like accountability in the marketing is more important, but I don't think that you should take away the marketing. I think especially online right now, that actually needs to be amped up.
Yeah, I think I've been seeing that a lot, being really much more smart about your spend and your dollars and, cutting things that you don't need and kind of ramping up on what's important.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Hey, Scott. So I've been following you also, and I know you're a recent father. Is that right?
I am.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So it's a whole new world for you, being at home more also. And I've been noticing you've been doing a lot in terms of, kind of community involvement, giving back to the community. You've been sharing things about your own neighborhood, which I thought was really awesome and can help activate a community. So tell us more about what you've been doing.
Yeah, so I've chosen to focus a little bit more on changing the tune of my message. I don't think right now a lot of people care about how much business we're doing or not doing, or how many homes we've sold, or kind of some historical, more I'm a really good realtor, hire me. So what we've tried to focus on is just bringing the community together. And I'll share a couple examples of that. The first is supporting local businesses. So I think what you're referring to is we threw a big pizza party for our community. And what we did on our team is bought 100 pizzas and said, look, we get that we're all spending a little bit more time at home right now, but let's have a big pizza party. So our call to action was just post a picture or a video of you guys enjoying this pizza. We bought the pizzas, we delivered the pizzas just to the doorstep, kind of a Papa Murphy's take and bake type deal. And the idea was to just come together. A focus that we're doing right now is trying to get people engaged in sharing what they love about the community that they live in. I think as we're spending a little bit more time at home, maybe it's finding out more about a neighbor you didn't know, or finding out more about why we chose to live in the same neighborhood. I do a lot of hyper-local farming. And so for me, we all have that same kind of common bond. So that's kind of where my message has gone. To piggyback on what Kristee was saying, where was my train of thought? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, so we'll stop there.
That's okay. Well, I know you've been doing an awesome job. You also shared a video about, from yourself, your own perspective on your neighborhood, what you like about it. So what was the idea there?
The idea there was just for people to get a chance to know me. Admittedly, I've done kind of a little bit of a poor job on the social media. So one thing that I've found is right now we all have probably more time than we had, say, 3 months ago, or in our normal, for us, spring is a pretty busy market. And so when I have more time, I want to start doing this. That's kind of what I'm tackling. So learning to do social media better, becoming a little bit more, putting myself out there, which I don't want to say it's been a struggle. It's just not been a point of emphasis. And so personally right now, I think that there's time to do those things as long as we're not treating ourselves as a victim of the situation. I think that we all need to remember to show up and work. And you had some questions about that, and maybe we'll dive into that a little bit later, just about productivity and how we're handling that. So I'll kind of stop there because we may get there a little later.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. That's awesome. And Jennica, you've been doing something really cool and fun. So I wanted to know more about how that's been going for you. It's called Cocktails and Conversations. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so how many years now have we heard about we need to be doing video, and I have been avoiding it, and I just made the decision. So it kind of was like a rolling effect of the lifestyle photos have really become on scene. And so I started doing lifestyle photos, and I don't know I think most of you guys have done it, but it really brings a comfort to you where you just kind of get to this is what it is moment in life where after so many pictures, and you feel like at first when you're getting behind the camera, you want to see the pictures and you want to keep going, and it's really just brought a level of comfort. So I was like, okay, got that Band-Aid out of the way. Why don't I start getting on video? And at first I wanted to make it like this big production and, learn how to make cocktails. I don't know how to make cocktails. Right. I don't want to, I go to the bar to get a cocktail. So I definitely took it, I'm the one that goes, when I wanted to learn how to go snowboarding, I bought all the stuff before a lesson so I go to extreme and then decide what actually makes sense. And so I did that. I bought every kind of cocktail thing you can find and then scaled it back. And I was like, this is not what the content is about. The content is about having the conversation about real estate and just showing who I am. And so when I scaled it back, and I've made it pretty low key now, it's been really fun. It's also, and I don't know if you have experienced this, but we're constantly on Zoom calls now and adjusting to the market. I've been doing buyer and seller consultations virtually. And so now having the cocktail conversations on camera, doing the Zoom call, it just brings a comfort and level of vulnerability that I don't really care. I mean, this is the most I've gotten dressed up in about 3-4 weeks. So I was like, let me bring it today. But I have been popping on my Zoom calls. This is real life and this is where we're at. And I'm glad that my series of events led me to just what Kristee was saying of I feel like we've kind of in some sense been prepping for all of this and the different ways that we've been moving in social media. So
I think that's an incredible point. Yeah, I mean, they look fabulous. So thank you for bringing it today. But I think that's a good point because I know for me, It's been very personal, jumping on calls. I don't always have a background on, so you get to see people's homes, with your clients. I know one client, I got to kind of hand over the keys virtually with them. And one of my clients works nights. So she was like still in bed. He caught the call, they grabbed the dog. And so they were there in their house, just, hearing that they just got access to their new home. And that's kind of a connection and a flow that we normally aren't used to in our business. And so have you had clients, respond to your cocktails and conversations? Are you getting questions? How's it going?
It's really funny. I mean, this is my first journey. So it started, I think, January, February with the videos, and I haven't done this before. But what's interesting is the people that don't comment, that watch your videos, that will then in person be like, oh yeah, I saw your video. I'm like, really? Because I didn't know you saw it. But I mean, like, it's so crazy how many people actually pay attention that you don't even know are the ones paying attention. So that's been really cool, is getting that feedback. I've loved enjoying, people giving suggestions on videos. And honestly, sometimes it's like 5 minutes before. Last night I did a live cocktail conversation. So I had to remove myself from being the problem of making so many rules about something, because I am the one creating the rules. So I was making it more complicated than it needed to be. And just, letting it go, having fun, but keeping that accountability because people are noticing. So.
Yeah. And I think also, to go with that, and also Kristee mentioned doing more on social media. I think we've all been posting and sharing, and like you said, kind of wondering who's watching. But I found the same thing, that I've been posting content on Instagram or LinkedIn. And then a few days later, clients will reach out and say, hey, I noticed you posted something. Can you tell me more about that? So I think the important thing to note there is people are watching, and they are listening, and they do want to know what's going on with our market and with you personally.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, hey, Ivan, great to see you.
Good to see you too.
So you've been doing, video content for the longest time, and you're such a pro at it, of course. And so I've been noticing you've been doing even more in terms of video and sharing things in like virtual reality. So, tell me more about what you're doing and how you're reaching your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So video, I started doing it about 8 years ago with like a camcorder that I bought from Best Buy, and I made my own TV show, and I would throw it on YouTube. And I remember my manager saying, you're wasting your time. You need to be cold calling. You need to be door knocking. And I just saw an opportunity in the market at that time, and I just ran with it. And, I love it. I think right now, everyone's on the mark here with, social media, and it's with how they're using it. I see Kristee, Jennica, that's an amazing idea. And Scott, it's definitely useful. Like, I think right now, so many people are home, and there's so many ways that we can reach them. And I think the content that we're trying to put out right now, because I put it out weekly, the Real Estate Minute, and then we do community videos. I've done video testimonials. When we launched our new branding, we did a video for it. Every client party we do a video for. The videos that I'm doing now from home, I think, are more about the market and what's going on in the market. And I think most of my clients really want to know, especially, all my homeowners or future homeowners, they want to know what's going to happen. What's going to happen 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. Obviously, we don't have a crystal ball whatsoever, but I'm trying to get as many facts and sources, reputable sources, of course, and also citing those sources, because I'm a non-economist, and just, trying to provide some peace of mind. And I think most also important, I've gotten used to the produced videos and, practicing my lines and showing an image that I want to portray. But in the last 30 days, it's been so fun, just just holding my phone and talking to my phone. And, I love singing. So I've been singing. I've been, I'm huge on fitness and my dog, and I've been posting videos with my dog. And, it's given me an opportunity, and also for me, for personal growth, to just be as authentic as I possibly could be, and show this is me cooking. This is me. Like, I'm literally wearing shorts right now. Like, I'm wearing shorts and white socks. Like, I'm not wearing pants right now. I posted a photo about that. And it's just, I think people just right now want to connect more. They call it about social distancing, which, I think is, I don't like that word, because we're still being social right now. We're still keeping our distance, but we're still being social. And I think that's very important with Zoom and technology, and, just reaching out to our friends. I literally gone from my phone from the A's to the Z's, and just reaching out to everyone, not just past clients, but cousins, friends, people I haven't reached out to from school from years ago. So it's been really nice to really just have this time to connect. I think that's the most important thing, is just connecting.
Well, I think what you said is you've been ramping up and able to get across even more authenticity. And I think that for us in our business, that is, just really the best way to connect with people and even generate more business. One other thing I noticed that you had done that was a more produced video, but I know it doesn't have to be, was you looks like took the time to put together some short videos to send to clients for like each step along the transaction process, which I just thought was brilliant, because those are the messages we have to send out to clients all the time. Can you share, what you did there and what the thought process was?
Yeah, sure. So, throughout the process, I think for especially a new home buyer, they don't know what's going on, right? They know it's a 30-day, or on average a 30-day escrow. And as much as we like to communicate to them over the phone or through email, I think this whole experience is a very daunting one. And so I try to think, okay, if I were on the other side, what would make this easier for me? Okay, well, if people sometimes don't like to read, maybe a video. Okay, do I make it a long video or short video? So I started making shorter videos. I thought, okay, shorter videos, I could send them to their phone, because if I send it through email or if I put it on YouTube, they might not click on the link. So I want to make sure that they get it. And I needed to make it, I wouldn't say as generic as possible, but generic on the idea of the process, so that they know what part of the process we're in without being specific about their certain situation. Mm-hmm. So they can go back and say, oh, okay, well, it's, for the next 3 days, I have to submit my deposit. In the next 3 days, 7 days, I'm getting the disclosures back. And I don't mention days either. I'm very, it's a 30-day, I don't even put at the bottom that it's a 30-day escrow. I just kind of let them know. If that day we remove contingencies, I send them that video. If that day we're removing the loan contingency, then I send them that video. So it's very specific to that, but there's no dates underneath it. So that way I can use them for multiple clients. And, clients love it. And it's been great because they can go back and see it again and again and understand it. And so I thought, it's another way to connect with your clients via video. And then the last one, which I did, I thought was cool. Like we had like the confetti and the champagne and the glasses pop out of nowhere. And, I think they'll remember that. And it's probably a little cheesy, but it was fun. And it's so far it's been great.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. And I think that's one of those ideas that I wanted to share, because it's one of those kind of projects that in terms of social media or video and content, and now that we have a little bit more time, I think now is a great time as agents that we can put together that kind of stuff that's evergreen, that's going to last forever, and we can continue to use it. And we've had this time to build that kind of book of tricks. So thank you. Yeah. Shyla, in the Las Vegas area, how are you doing?
Good. We're still considered essential. So thankfully I still get to work. Obviously not in person as much, but thankfully we still have that ability. Being in the Las Vegas market, our industry was hit, our whole city was hit really hard with the whole hospitality section kind of going down for a bit. So we're just working through it, but there's still activity. Things are still happening over here.
Yeah. So how have you been handling, clients' questions and concerns? And obviously, I think a lot of people are asking us what we think the future is going to hold. And we don't know. So, how are you going about that? Do you have people that are selling right now? Are your clients buying? What are they doing right now?
Yeah. So I'm just being honest with them, right? Like saying kind of what you said, we don't know. Like I can pretend to look into a crystal ball, but the truth is none of us have experienced anything like this before. So I think I'm just being honest with them, letting them know the risk, letting them know the positives, and then letting them make the decision. I've always been, my philosophy in my business is I'll control the process, but they control the decision. So I'll give them the data, like here's what's going on, here's what's selling, here's how many homes are going into contract. Is this a decision that you want to make? Do you want to list your home now? Do you want to wait? Letting them make the decision. I'm not a high pressure person. I'm pretty casual. So if they want to wait, like I'm going to be here next year waiting for them to list their home. But I do have people actively listing. I do have people actively buying. At the same time, I also have people that are sitting on the sidelines and just waiting to see what happens. So I'm just kind of giving them the information, the stats, and letting them make the decisions.
I think that's what's, important right now is kind of meeting people where they are. I think some people are more fearful now than others. Some people just want to keep on going. So really kind of understanding where they're at right now and helping them continue. If you had to think of a forecast in terms of your market, which is so impacted by a shutdown right now, are you expecting or hearing from other agents, the inventory might be being held back and coming on later, or will it be a slow trickle? I mean, what are you thinking?
So, I think that our market is interesting, but I do think that people still relocate here. Like, they're still going to be moving here. There's still going to be people moving out of here. And so I think probably similar to the rest of the United States, we're probably going to see, our typically really busy spring season, hopefully pick up in the fall once all this is over and has passed. So for those that can hold off, I think a lot of them are. And so for me, what I kind of see is that if they're not going to list or buy right now, they're probably going to do it once this is over. And so I do see hopefully things picking up a little bit. Of course, there is going to be fear and people are going to hold back because of some of that fear, but I do see things happening in the future. Obviously, we went from a market that was like multiple offers, paying over appraised value, and literally within a day, it was completely different. So do I think it's going to go back to that market that we were at? No. But do I think that we're going to see it pick back up? Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. Thank you. And Mr. James Nellis, how are you doing?
Hey, that's me.
Hey, how are you? Well, you've been so active on social media, and I've been like scrambling, taking notes kind of every day with what I'm seeing you're doing. And because there's been so much, you guys have been totally on it. And I know you've got some slides for us also. So I'm happy to go over those, or, tell us more about, what you've been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty visual person. If you want to throw up the slides, that's great. That might keep me at a fast pace. I talk fast. I'm from DC. So those that are in New York are like loving it. People down south are like, could he slow down a little? So one of the things you asked about is how are you really staying connected? And I want to help you with this. If you're a solo agent, staying connected is perhaps your lender, your title company, anybody that helps you work with clients. If you're a team, it's really important. We were never doing this. So I started thinking about what's the blessing of this coronavirus? Well, for us, one of the blessings was we never had kind of a fun Sunday night happy hour. So every Sunday night since this started, any of our agents or staff can get on a Zoom call and they don't have to be drinking or not drinking. It's just a chance to relax and enjoy and talk about Netflix binging and whatever it is. One huge value, take it back 10 years plus ago, I installed webcams at all the computers at the office. This is way before, Zoom and all of that. And I want to do our morning calls with all of our staff. And here's the huge blessing to us. We bought private Zoom channels for our ISA department and for our staff, and they log in from 9 to 5. This was really important because I was seeing that once everybody was at home during coronavirus, we were not as efficient. We weren't as productive together as a team. So there's huge power in the fact that they love it because I'm more accessible, right? Most of us are home. And so I actually spend time with the ISAs. I spend time with our staff. Our agents can reach me. So that's been a huge blessing of kind of this quote unquote distancing.
That's awesome.
One of the things I recommend, and perhaps you could take some notes really quick just for yourself. We went back just this week and said, what are 3 things that you've learned about yourself, whether it's business or personal or whatever it is? And it was amazing because it wasn't all good things, right? It was just amazing to hear what people had to share. And a lot of my agents were saying they were having trouble getting up. They were having trouble like going to bed on time and getting up early. And so I brought back to mention the Miracle Morning, right? The SAVERS acronym. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the Miracle Morning, which is silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, right? Like I was talking about, like running around and singing, right? You're talking about the song you're going to come up with today. The R is for reading, and then the S is for scribing, journaling. I think it's really important to be journaling during this time for your own sanity as well. And then I think this is a great time to work on your business, whether it's you as an individual or you have a team of 50. I think it's a great opportunity to go back and say, what is my mission statement? What is our vision over the next 5 years, Corona or not? And then I think not enough people share their history. I'm blessed that I came from a family that started the real estate company back in the 80s, right? And so, it's been fun just to see how it's evolved and yet how we've been doing things all along. Yeah. And if you go to go to the next one. I really want to talk about this. I hate this. Every Zoom webinar I'm on, they're like, cut your expenses, cut your expenses. Okay, great. Yeah, I know. Okay. Stop killing me with that. But beyond that, what should we get rid of? Well, obviously the shiny objects, as Kristee mentioned, things you were just buying just to buy. The ego plays, right? The billboards don't have the same impact. And then perhaps advertising and not the right ways, then it's a question more importantly, what do you keep? Mm-hmm. And this actually hurt me the most personally. Like the top real estate agents I know around the country, when they were talking about slashing expenses, over 50% of them were talking about the payroll they were going to save by just cutting people. And I was like, wait a second. I mean, and this is before PPP. This is before all the relief was coming out. They're like, yeah, I cut hours. I dropped people. And I'm like, to me personally, I would cut every marketing expense. I would get rid of space. I would do whatever I could before I started cutting people. So this is a great opportunity to see who your team players are within your company. I know top brokers where their admin have come to them and said, if you need to reduce my salary, please do that. That's amazing. That is a team player. Prospecting, it looks different. And then obviously we all have to have website. We all have to have services and things like that. So those are the kind of the musts that you have to keep involved with.
Absolutely.
And then this is what some of you were talking about with video. We've been doing video since like 2004, 5, probably back in the time when I was doing it. I remember paying for a 3-minute video that at a discount cost me $1,000 because it used to be for every edited minute, it was $1,000, right? I see Ivan. Yeah, I agree. It was $1,000 per edited minute. That's crazy. I got a deal because it was my client. When this first came out, I want to encourage everybody that's listening to this call, whether you're good on video or not, it doesn't matter. You have to be the resource. You have to be the guide. And as soon as somebody's saying something, and let me tell you how that works. If you've had more than one client tell you the same thing, that's what's out there. So now you have to address it from a professional perspective to say, this is really what's going on. So right when it's happened, I put all of my sellers that were thinking about selling over the next 120 days who had been quote unquote archived with our company. I put them all on a webinar. I had 30 sellers on a webinar telling them my belief of where the market's heading and what they should do. We put all of our buyers on it as well. And so, that's what I mean by be the resource.
That's awesome.
Great. And then, I won't spend too much time on this because I know a lot of us are doing it, but here's the challenge. You might be thinking, well, yeah, I do drone. I do everything they're talking about. Do your clients and do your local consumers know that? Too many times we're doing all these things and they don't know what we're doing. And so we created nellisgroup.com/virtual. Guys, we've been virtual the whole time. I remember someone said, James, I don't understand how somebody could buy a house without ever seeing it. And I was like, we were doing this, I grew up in this business. I remember my parents literally VHS taped a house, right? Some of you on this call don't know what that is. So VHS tape, it was Decline, Rewind. Don't worry, I won't go into it. But they shipped it out to Japan. These people, because we work with a lot of military people, bought the house without ever seeing it. So this is not new. Perhaps you could say it's new for the people that are local that don't get to see it, right? That's fair. But the virtual component has always been there.
Well, I think what I love about what you do also is that you do such a great job about, you don't just have 3D virtual tours. Like everybody has that. You have NG 3D. And that's something I picked up from you is like, well, gosh, what's NG 3D? No one has that. You have NG 3D. It's these little changes you can make to, really have people feel your value.
Yeah. If you can personalize it, well, think about it this way. And this is sad to say, like I'm one agent of over 30,000 in Virginia, DC, Maryland, right? What makes me different than every other consumer? Part of it's our branding and part of it's the recognition of how we leverage a common resource to customize it to that individual client.
Yeah.
Of course, we can skip through this. People are doing the 3D tours, highly recommend it. This was fun. This is my brand. I've been doing this for over 25 years. Yes, I'm the oldest on the call. Thank you very much. But on the left-hand side, you'll see Notary Cam. I had never experienced this before. So Notary Cam, this is another reason I hate it when real estate agents say, oh, well, that's an attorney question or a settlement agent question. Oh, that's a lender question. Here, if you get any value from the extra time at home, I would recommend this. Learn anything and everything you need to know about loans, so much so that you could qualify somebody yourself. Learn anything and everything about what goes on an ALTA statement or a HUD statement. Well, on the left-hand side, you'll see Notary Cam. This woman who's a notary had no idea what they were signing. And the attorney wasn't on the call, so I personally and it's not an attorney thing, but I personally went through every document they were signing. If it was my first year in real estate, I'd have had no clue how to do that. So I would highly recommend using this time to like up your game and knowledge as a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Great idea. If you haven't done this, do this tomorrow. Create a support local business community page, right? A group. It's not a page, but it's a group. Invite all of your local businesses to join it, and make sure that people are going there to buy their resources, their vending, and all of that. This was fun. So on that group I just created, there was a local caterer, and we went back and said, here's what we want to do. We want to provide food for the local nurses, doctors, fire stations, and all of that. And he goes, great, it'll be about $18 to $20 per person. I go, sorry, I can't support you. He goes, well, what's your budget? I said $10. And if you go back one slide, you'll see everything there is just under $10. And so it wasn't about him making a lot of money. It was about me supporting a caterer. Guys, caterers have zero business right now. They're not doing big events. They're not doing fancy events right now. It was really cool. There was a Subway, and they got together and they said every meal is $6.50 that we send to a hospital. So there's just fun things that are happening in our local area. I just mentioned that. This is fun. Think outside of I'm buying food. This is Margot Root. She's an amazing, Ivan, you should check her out. She has got one of the best voices I've ever heard. She's an opera singer who travels internationally. She's one of our local clients. And I went to her and I saw she was advertising voice lessons. I said, how much is a voice lesson? So I bought 2 voice lessons. And so from services or vendors that can quote unquote work virtually, I've been buying their services to then raffle off for free to our community. So it's just kind of a fun way to give back. Again, just another example of interaction with clients. I don't want to take up too much time. This has been fun. I will share this. There you go. Here's the mask, if you can see me. And this is not N95. This is probably one of the best masks I've seen out there. It's not cheap. It cost me $6 a mask, and I have to order at least 500 of them now to get them. So it's just an example of how do you try to just show that you care and keep your people safe. These are VIPs that have posted. We can go back and lead gen. You can keep moving. Now, I want to give you this. When you're sitting there and you're saying, what are my opportunities right now? I feel like an ambulance chaser, right? If I'm calling people right now, like I don't feel this is a good time. If you're thinking that right now, I want to help you with that in 2 ways. One, think of it this way. If you know that you're the best expert in your field, in your local market, and you don't get there first, someone else who's not as qualified as you is going to take care of them. NAR, National Association of Realtors, says 67% of the clients today will go with the first person that calls them. So there should be a fear for you that if I don't make those calls today, someone else less experienced could change for the negative their generational wealth. Here's a quick couple opportunities. One is FSBO, for sale by owners. For rent by owners, especially Airbnbs, properties that are just sitting vacant. It's a great opportunity to go back to those owners and say, hey, are you making income? Is anybody booked anything? No, I don't have any bookings for the next 3 months. How does that sit financially? Remind, and I understand a friend of mine created this program that's linked with most MLSs. I don't know if that's in your market. If it is, here's how you leverage it. Remind is with the MLSs. You can click a button and find out who has 50% or more equity. You can click another button and see who are the absentee owners. And then the third button I would recommend clicking is who's been in their home for more than 7 years. There's a great opportunity to narrow it down to make sure you're doing it in a poignant way. And of course, our database calls. Quit texting everybody. I would say even quit calling. I had an expert out in Boulder, Colorado that was like, James, I've started FaceTiming, literally FaceTiming every SOI client. She's like, and guess what? Everybody picks up because everybody's starving for that human interaction, which I don't think comes through on a text. And then, of course, note cards is another thing that I highly recommend doing right now. Do you want me to go through this or come back to this later?
Yeah, we can touch on things later. I think you've also been really great at putting out great content on keeping busy. Shared some great books for us to be thinking about also.
Yeah. And then if you go back to that one, online activities, let me leave you with that. This is partially stolen from some top real estate agents, around the country and what they're doing. Ginger down in North Carolina, she's doing probably similar to that cocktails and conversation that Jennica is, with Zoom happy hours with her clients. And then Meredith out of Kentucky is doing coloring sheets for kids. Even though school's back in session, there's a lot of little kids that have, coloring. All of our contests used to be cash to our clients. Now what they get is they get a gift card to a local restaurant or a local service provider, because obviously we're a small business trying to help small businesses.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Let's see here.
Notes there.
So I wanted to touch on, kind of quickly open up the floor a little bit to hear from you guys. Maybe I like what Jennica was saying in terms of cocktails and conversations being real. I want to know what you guys are doing, how you're coping, how you're actually doing. Are you working all day? Are you prospecting? How are you staying in contact with clients? So what does the real life day-to-day look like for you in your business right now? If someone wants to touch on that.
I can jump on it real quick. So I've been working with a business coach for about 5 years. He's not real estate specific. It's just been business. And he's been incredible. One thing I did decide to do last week, and I think, Brett, we covered this, was I hired a real estate coach. So now I have these 2 coaches, and you don't have to hire another coach. You can have like an accountability partner, someone in your office, someone on your team. I think it's super important right now to really, work on the business. I am still reaching out to clients. I am still reading more than I've ever done in my entire life, podcasts, and just really wanting to work on my business and on myself. And how can we how can we pivot in this business to get stronger, to advance our systems, our technology, to make it easier for clients. And, having a business coach has been great, but someone who's specifically in real estate is definitely going to help me focus. And like Kristee said, especially with our marketing dollars, I'm going to sometimes just throw things up against the wall and see what sticks. I think right now we need to be a lot more strategic. We need to have a plan. I do have a plan, but I think we need to zero in a little bit more with data and say, okay, this is what we're going to do. If it doesn't work after, a certain amount of time, then we need to pivot and try something else. So, just definitely working on myself and mental health as well. I think we're the gatekeepers of our mind, and I'm not watching the news. I'm not, I hear the news from what I'm getting through social media and my parents. And I think especially now we need to be leaders, not just for our clients, but for, our brothers or sisters or cousins or mothers or fathers or neighbors, and just try to be there as a beacon of hope and strength for everybody.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback on what you're saying, Ivan. I think it's important to remember to focus on what we can control, because there's a lot of things right now that are not up to us. Some things are up to our local leadership, government, national leadership, and we're not going to be able to control that. And so what was interesting for me is for the first week of the stay-at-home orders, I fell out of my habits, and it was really challenging. I started sleeping more, which there are some benefits to that, but what that took into my daily habits was I didn't work out because the gym was closed, and so I've since had to modify. But I had a conversation with myself after about a week of this and was like, am I going to be a victim of what this situation has brought? Earlier in the call, we talked about how I'm a new father, and we had to make the decision of keeping our nanny. So we have a nanny that helps us out. And for us, it was important. My wife works at home to keep our nanny so that we could keep our habits. But more importantly, we're responsible for her and her income. And like James was selling, I couldn't make a decision to say, hey, just because my business may be slowing or my wife's business may be slowing, we're going to keep all of our same habits. And there are plenty of things to do in real estate to keep us all busy. Even if we're not selling houses, we can work, as we've already gone over on this call, we can work on our business when we're not working in our business. And then one other thing I wanted to add that was really impactful to me, when we're talking to people, changing the wording from how are you doing to how are you feeling, to me that has been a really big change in the responses that I'm getting from people. Someone may be doing well, they may not have been impacted in terms of their financial status, but they may be feeling really different. And I also think now is a really important opportunity to act with integrity and be honest in what you're saying. If you're putting out posts of saying, hey, let me know what you need, I'll bring it to you, I will help, you better show up and you better do that and not just do this for the attention.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Has anybody had any success really, actually, we talk a lot about virtual business, but have you actually had success getting a buyer into contract completely virtually or listing a property virtually? Has anybody had any success?
So in Washington, I'll jump in. Brett, can you see us? Just
Yes.
Curious. Are you okay? Just making sure my way, because I wanted to say one. I know you want to move on to this question, but then I like to jump in and just rewind for 1 second. One of the things I had to change my mindset. Everyone's talked about the mindset and mental health, but I had to make it a game for being at home because this has been really challenging for me to. I'm constantly every day having something. So one of the things that's been fun is I made a quarantine bucket list of all the little life things that I have not taken a moment to slow down and learn how to do. So like I learned how to make a caramel macchiato. I've done different things where it's like you want to do this, but you don't take that moment to slow down. So that's been every day I have something new. Like it's Googling weird stuff that I've like never had the time to just slow down and stop and do. Then I'm like, where and why is this a thing? So that's been fun of making it a game. And then the other thing is I feel like I think we probably all have pretty common traits of wanting to be constantly on the go. And then you get constantly reminded like, hey, take a minute, slow down, appreciate, you don't always have to say yes to everything, which this has now given us that chance to live that life. And in reflection, I love the life I was living. Like I love being that busy. And so it's been really cool to be like, yeah, I've dabbled over here. Now I know what this is like to slow down. And yes, I can say no to some things, but I'm really enjoying and on pace for the life that I chose by design. That was my little thing to go back to. And then virtually, yes, we in Washington can show houses still. So we can have one-on-one showings. We just can only have one person in the house at a time. So we only had about a 2-3 day window where we weren't able to be out at properties. So we really haven't seen the impact. So I'd love to hear from other people if they're not able to have that same opportunity.
So Kristee, are you able to show right now? What's your market like?
Yes, I'm able to show here in Austin, and I don't really feel like that's been affected. There was a short while where when the shelter in place went into effect, where the board sent out an email that in Travis County and the city of Austin, we should not show properties, but in Williamson County, it was questionable and we could still show properties. And then the governor overrid that and said that we were essential. And then they came out and said we could show properties. So it was a very short time period. I want to say less than a week that we thought, there was question as to whether or not we could show property. Obviously, the goal here is to be as virtual as possible. So starting off with the FaceTimes, the videos, all of that, making sure a buyer's serious, really wants to get in the property, and then showing it. So we're taking caution there. And there are some sellers that have their home in the MLS, but just don't want buyers in their home right now. They want that exposure, but they just don't feel comfortable with buyers. So obviously, as Shyla said, just doing whatever the client wants to do, the client and just what they feel comfortable with. And one thing that we previously talked about that I just wanted to touch on a tad is just that coming back to the media and being the resource, I went in and I looked at the stats because, we're hearing a lot of doom and gloom, and this isn't 100% accurate, but I pulled the stats of what went pending from April. So I did April 1 to April 13th to see how many homes went pending. I compared that to prior to the shelter in place, doing March 1 to March 13th. And it actually showed in our MLS, more homes went under contract in April after the shelter in place than prior to the shelter in place. Now, it's not 100% accurate because something that had closed wouldn't still be in pending status, but most homes are taking 30 plus days to close if it's financed. I'm seeing lenders take longer because of refis and just being backlogged. But really, what is the truth here? Because, I'm seeing so much noise right now, as everyone else is. I'm getting way too many emails because people are at home and have so much time on their hands, but everybody has an opinion. But what is the truth here? And the numbers speak the truth.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think it's important to be conveying what's actually going on right now.
Yes.
And Shyla, I know you've got a young family at home also. How are you feeling? How are you balancing that with, work right now?
Yeah, so the good news for me is my kids are little, and so I'm not having to homeschool. I didn't feel that stress that I know a lot of people are having to feel of trying to deal with that. Kind of similar to Scott, I also have a nanny, and so I'm able to, I am at home, so I close my office door and I work from home. I go out for lunch like I typically would. I see them and I hang with them a little bit more than I typically would have the ability to do, which is awesome. But yeah, I'm working from home, and I'll be honest with you, like I'm digging into some of that stuff that's not sexy. Like I've been like ramping my database, making sure it's accurate. I spent like a whole business day just cleaning it up, going through it, vetting it, making sure I have everybody on it. So just kind of boring things like that we normally on our day-to-day like busy activities just don't do, but really are so important to our business and so vital. I've really been focusing on a lot of that stuff. So it's been good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to get to some of the questions that we've been getting from those that are viewing. Thank you, everyone. And panelists, if you haven't already, please share your social handles or websites in the chat box, because people definitely want to connect with you. You've all been so amazing at sharing content, and everybody wants to stay connected. One of the questions, I'll throw it out to the group, that I saw was, we're all being more active on social media right now. So if you're posting on your personal page, are you also posting on your business page? Are you doing both? Is it too much to do both? What's your thought on balance? Anyone can take it.
I'll jump in. So I have a business and personal, and I've had this conversation numerous times with my marketing team, just different kind of bounce around what that looks like. I think posting content to the same content to both pages is too much. There's no point, and it's a lot to manage. So I use my business page strictly more as like a resume. I don't put a lot of my personality. It's just very clean and crisp. Whereas on my business or on my personal, it's more who I am, what I'm doing. So my business page doesn't have a ton of attention on it. It's just there, and I've kind of bounced around different conversations of what we're going to do with that. But I have seen agents that will do both, posting on both, and I just don't understand why. And I think really, Ivan, you should be talking about this. Why am I on here? Like, all right, bye.
I do post on both, just like on Facebook, like I have the personal Facebook, and then I have the business Facebook. I think, we can't boost on the personal Facebook, so I use the business Facebook in order to boost ads, market certain areas. I know now it's like we can't go on, with the new, I guess, regulation, we can't go on age and, certain like specifications that we could in the past. But it's still, the business one we still get a lot of leads from it. The personal one, it's like, I blend both business and personal, because who I am and what I do is, all encompassing from, the real estate to the fitness to I'm very like family oriented and fitness oriented. So I like to combine everything together than having it all split up. And I'm just a very open book, and I just throw it all out there. And sometimes some people like it and some people don't, but I think like what we talked in the past of trying to be as authentic as possible, and even showing the stuff we're not very proud about.
And Ivan, somebody also asked, in terms of those videos that you're making for clients that you send out to them at milestones in the transaction process, are you saving those in your phone in an album? Are you sending them through a service like BombBomb? How are you doing that flow?
So I do have it on my phone. I have them saved under a folder. I do have BombBomb, and we use it to send out, the market updates, the real estate minutes that I do. But I did notice that if I send it directly from my phone to their phone, they will open it. And I just had to make the file size small enough. I mean, this was like a lot of testing to make sure that I can send it via text, and anyone who's using an iPhone or not an iPhone would be getting it. Because I think if they have to go on their email, go to a link for it to go somewhere else, or even through BombBomb, I've just noticed if I send them a video via phone, almost 99% they're probably going to open it, because they always respond.
Yeah, that's great. Another question from Chris was, has anyone bought an investment property in the last 12 months? And with the current market situation, do you have plans to?
I'll jump on. I personally did last October, went through a little bit of a rehab. Luckily, it's been unaffected. Would I do it right now? Rates for those that have the financial ability have literally been never been better. And so I think that that's an important conversation to be having with those clients. As Kristee was mentioning, what are the facts, and focusing on that. To Krista's question, though, would I do it again? Maybe. I think it would have to, be as secure. But, for anyone that owns rental properties, there are some things that are going into that right now that if they don't make those mortgage payments, hopefully you've set yourself up.
Right. Absolutely. Has anybody had any clients affected by the mortgage markets tightening up in the last few weeks, specifically jumbo loans? And how have your clients been affected? I mean, I know things have been moving along. James?
Yeah. Hey, Brett. Two things. One, on the investment side, we know it. We tell our clients this: you always want them to buy. So if there's a good enough deal out there, absolutely, you jump on it. I've heard a couple of people say that cash today, 6 months from now, $1 is going to be worth 5 times that. So there is a good point of being cash, not being cash strapped, but keeping that. The interesting thing, we're going to see a consolidation of all these mortgage companies. So in each of your markets, there's probably 1,000 mortgage companies. Well, most of you may not know this, but they've been calling the hedge, the way they make their money, they've been calling hedges due. And a lot of them have had to borrow other capital to pay up in April, to pay up in March. And so a lot of these are going to be gobbled up by somebody else, are going to shut down. So on your listing this next week, when you're getting a fly-by-night company you've never heard of, be careful on that. Make sure you do your due diligence on it. As far as the compression in the market, we've seen it on both sides. So in Washington, D.C., 6 months ago, we were seeing multiple offers at pretty much any price point, $2 million, $500,000, whatever it was. We've gone from multiple offers to seeing perhaps 1 or 2 good offers, right? So that's been an interesting thing. And you asked, what are we going to see with the seasonality of it? Our typical spring and summer market haven't hit, right? And so the prediction is, in a lot of markets, as long as we figure out COVID and it releases, a lot of markets, their fall is going to be their spring and summer market. And so a lot of people have been anticipating that. So for our sellers, there's still such a limited inventory. We've been saying, hey, get on the market, right? For our buyers. Now let's go to the mortgage question, that compression. We not a lot. We sold 192 homes last year. And so for perspective, now we had 3 fall out this last month. Okay. They fell out because the person was furloughed, right? It's just a reality. And they were lower price points and they were working in retail, right? And you guys know the retail sector is getting crushed. So because they were furloughed, they no longer wanted to, nor could they get their loan. Okay. And then you have the compression on the top side where we had clients that were paying cash for $1, $2, $3 million properties. And they're looking at that and saying, well, wait a second, I was taking the cash out of the stock market. Why would I now do that, even though it's a tangible asset? So it's been interesting. And so, Brett, my answer would be there's a sweet spot, at least in DC, between, say, 500 up to $1 million, where that's still readily going. That's kind of middle America. They feel secure about their job. We went back. We had so many clients asking the question. Remember, Brett, you gave me credit for kind of either creating an acronym or creating a video or doing something new. And so we had so many buyers worried. Should they buy now? Should they not? We came up with the 5 keys of buying. And based on those 5 keys, should you buy or not, right? They're pretty simplistic, but it really gave people the peace of saying, okay, I shape up to that, or okay, I don't. And so I really encourage you guys, it might be something you've said to more than one client. My rule is this on video. If I said the same thing more than 3 times, I'll make it into a video because it's obviously a question being asked. But just to understand on the mortgage side, it was so funny. So I got a call 2 nights ago and I'm talking about the lender and I'm talking about him, pumping money into a project we're going to do. He goes, oh, you don't know. I go, what? And he whispered it. Like, I'm at my house. I'm quarantined. Like, there's nobody else here. He goes, you haven't heard? And anytime someone whispers, they're like, what? And I was like, I don't know. Tell me. And I'm whispering now. We're both whispering and nobody's around. And he wrote down, and I'm happy to send it to you, all this contraction that's going to happen and all these markers that are being called due and how that's going to impact the funding for loans either getting delayed or not happening at all. I mean, there are people cutting $5 million checks at different loan companies.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, guys, I want to be conscious of time. I know for me, I could sit here on a video call with all of you all day long. I've already got at least 2 pages of amazing content. So James, how can people connect with you again in the DC market area?
I like someone said they'd cyber stalk me. You can go to @Nellis Group or @James Nellis and you can find me there.
That's great. And Shyla, any kind of recommendations you would give other agents, to make sure that their business continues the next few months? And then also, how can they connect with you again?
Yeah, so I would say just stick to the basics. Like several of the people have already said, like grow yourself, grow your business, do webinars over these next couple of months. Just do those things that you typically don't have time to do. Do pop buys, go stand at somebody's, street and say hi to them that you haven't seen in a minute. Like just some things that you don't normally have time for. I would say focus on yourself and focus on kind of that stuff that we typically forget to do. And you can follow me at Shyla Magee on all of the handles.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ivan, any kind of other thoughts that you have for us, and also remind us how we can stay connected with you?
Yeah. So, I think one of the biggest thing is, I think just sharpening your axe and just working on your business and working on yourself. So that way you can show up as the best person that you can for your family, friends, everyone else around you. And I don't care what anyone else says. We all look under 30. I was getting a couple comments on our thing. They're like, you guys are under 30. I mean, I think we totally do. Right?
No, like 2 weeks.
Look great. But people can follow me on Instagram. It's Ivan Estrada Properties, YouTube, Ivan Estrada Properties, and my website, www.ivanestradaproperties.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Jennica, when can we meet you for cocktails and conversations?
Every Thursday. Well, Thursdays, and the time fluctuates depending on my schedule. So that's the other thing I like of commitment. So I try to consistently, but I actually am trying to move and transition more to doing live because it was really fun. Like this kind of stuff is so much fun, having somebody else to bounce off, and so you're not just you out there monotoning it out. So I want to start having conversations, and I'd love to just bring people on to chat about things. But I have to say, out of all, I know that our companies are inundating us with videos and conversations. And my little ending thing that I want to say is every single day, like at first when we were getting into this, I'm like, shit, what did we get? Like, we're in real estate, what are we in? Like, how's this gonna go? Yeah, I swear, James, stop. I now moving out, but we're 5 weeks in from when Seattle really started seeing the big hit. And every single day, I am so grateful to be in real estate. Like it is we are front line for all of these conversations and what's happening. And so I think we kind of have that like, whoop moment. And then now it's like, okay, we're here, we're doing this, we've been prepping for this. And how grateful are we to be in the situation of the front line of the conversations with the market. So that's really cool. And then my handle is Jennica Realtor.
Awesome. Thank you. And Scott, we want to stay connected with you. Any other final remarks?
No, I just want to piggyback on what everyone is saying. And I think that I truly believe that real estate agents, we got the Tiger King there. There he is.
We do.
I truly believe that real estate agents are leaders of the community. And I think now is the time to showcase that and just continue to stay involved. Be cautious of the message that you're putting out. And then I really enjoyed what Kristee said. Be the expert on your local market and the statistics, because when someone calls you to say, how is the market, you need to know what market they're in, whether it's like Chris was asking about a rental market, a high end, like another question. You need to be the expert so that if they need to make a move, whether that is a pain or a pleasure move, that you're prepared for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. And Miss Kristee Leonard, how can we stay connected with you? Any other final thoughts?
Yes, my Instagram is at Kristee Leonard, and my website is theleadersrealty.com. I'm also on Facebook under Kristee Leonard and The Leaders Realty. And just a few final thoughts or key points is I haven't personally experienced it, thankfully, but several agents have mentioned about how they're having appraisal issues now, that has really increased. And so I think for agents out there, maybe newer agents that are watching, we have, I don't know how it is in every single market, we have an appraisal addendum in our market, and just being really more firm to protect the client as far as that's concerned. If you have a way to protect them in regards to appraisals, buyers saying that they'll let it appraise for less than what the purchase price is for, just kind of being cautious out there, because I have seen or heard that appraisals are becoming more of an issue again.
That's awesome. Well, I want to thank all of you so much. Again, I could be here all day long with all of you because it's so much great information. It's really incredible. And I want to recommend everybody watching, please do connect with these fabulous people, not just realtors, because I know they're all amazing people at sharing, and always so happy to help out. And this is also going to be posted onto my YouTube page so you can see it later, share it. And I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you guys so much.
Quick applause for Brett for setting all
Yes,
this up.
thank you. Yep.
Brett.
Yes, Brett, well done. I mean, you executed this. It was, and like the plugs on the social media. I mean, well done.
Tiger King.
Yeah, thank you guys. This has been a blast.
Yeah.
Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you.